podcasts dig giant robots. Welcome everyone to Super Audio Robo Podcast Z. I'm Ark, that's Nev, and this is the show where we recommend you the finest mecha content for your cultural and artistic development.
And if you don't dig giant robots, then what's wrong with you? What led you to this point? Why are you listening to our podcast? If you don't like giant
get
robots?
The fuck out otherwise.
Yeah.
This is the other non-anime giant robot property that we're talking about on this podcast. The one that arguably more people probably were hoping was going to be the case.
Yeah, when you heard an American mecha show, you're probably thinking of Megas XLR, which is the thing we're talking about today.
Yeah. It could have been Transformers, but let's be real. There's so many of them, and so many of them are trash. Yeah, we're talking about the most affectionate parody of all things Super Robot and anime and Japan.
Yeah, this is... there are lots of deep cuts in this show, which I'm surprised when I came back to it years later. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe they referenced that.
Yeah, this show ages like fine wine when you broaden your cultural palette over the course of decades.
Yeah. So why don't you give us a synopsis?
Definitely. Yeah, we'll get into that right now. The year is 3037. Humankind is on the brink of extinction at the hands of the Glorft. Their only salvation is a prototype robot called the Megas, which the Resistance intend to send along with pilot Kiva Andrew to the year 3035 in hopes of changing the outcome of the war. The year is 2004. A slacker named Coop Kublowski discovers the Megas beneath a junk pile in New Jersey and modifies it into his own giant robot. Reckless destruction ensues.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. That's the whole concept of the show. When a slacker gets a giant robot and is very reckless with it.
Yeah, just another thing on the on the list of fun things to do at the expense of all, sane and normal adults' responsibilities.
That's fine. I think the simple premise is what it works in the show's favor anyways.
Yeah, even then, I felt I had to write the synopsis in a way that makes it seem like it's going to be super serious before just pulling the rug right out from under you, because that's what this show loves to do.
Yeah, it is the opposite of serious most of the time. I'd say like 90% of the time.
All right, so I guess we could dive into a little bit of the prehistory for Megas XLR. Describe how this mid-2000s cartoon about giant robots fucking things up in New Jersey ever got off the ground. For the short of it, Megas XLR is an American super robot cartoon created by Jody Schaefer and George Christic, the two people who previously worked on a 1999 MTV cartoon called Downtown. And it's basically with some of the sensibilities that come from that cartoon, as well as one specific character that basically just transferred over. It's you find out immediately that compared to other shows on Cartoon Network from this time period, whether it was the original programming or whatever anime that Toonami decided to bring over that year.
Yeah.
This is very different from all of those.
It is, way different than most of them, for sure.
In fact, even before Megas XLR as we knew it came into being, the show had a pilot short created 2 years prior. In 2002, it was titled Lowbrow and aired as part of the Cartoon Weekend Summerfest, an event that, I had, the vaguest memories of, actually watching, and I think it coincided with, whenever I was, it was a weekend where I visited, friends that I knew from school, basically having, a sleepover, and this was airing at the time. Got really lucky being able to, catch this pilot, this short that was, when you look back at it, you realize is actually the latter half of the entire first episode of Megas XLR, what you see in the final product. Just that beat for beat, almost exact.
Yeah.
As far as character dialogue, comedic beats, action sequences, some things with art assets are completely different. One way that a joke is kind of different, and also kind of highlighting once again the different kind of edgy sensibilities of Downtown's creators is that in the final version of episode 1, there's a whole gag where an entire satellite drops down on an enemy robot that is the quote pop TV satellite, which the logo is styled in the exact same way as MTV, implying that there is some gleeful taking the piss out of their former network.
Oh yeah.
But in the pilot, it was just something as like, just real quick and dirty, like it's a CCCP satellite. It was something left over from the Union, I guess.
Why not take a quick jab at our former network instead?
Yeah, because we could get way more mileage out of that for the entire series.
Yeah, it won't be the last time they'll do that.
Definitely. Yeah, that pilot not only like was quite entertaining and left a strong impression on me, it left quite the impression on many viewers around the country as well, because it was, of the things shown at that weekend Summerfest, it was like one of the most popular pilot shorts that basically the demand was set in stone that like we wanted to see this turned into a proper, fully realized show. And it would take a few years. Like, it would take until 2004 for that to happen, but they did it. And like, this is just really interesting because like this aired as part of that Summerfest. It wasn't part of Toonami or anything like that, where you would expect it to be a lot for cartoons that are way more action focused by default. But it just kind of goes to show that like, as far as like the changes that network was going through and like what was being added in those 2 years, like by the time 2004 rolled around, that was when Toonami had its schedule change, where it was no longer like a weekday afternoon thing, something to look forward to when you go home from school.
Yeah.
It was now like it was a Saturday evening thing, like that would basically be the last thing before the channel transitions over from Cartoon Network to Adult Swim. And so when the final product rolled around, kind of did become a good fit for Toonami's sensibilities at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The show ran on that block from May 1st, 2004 to January 5th, 2005. Yeah, and again, you could tell this was like part of the Toonami Saturdays, because if this were weekdays, like that runtime would have been way, way faster because it was every weekday. But alas, I guess because of like the time slot and just being associated with something like that late in the evening, while there were reruns that continued throughout 2005, the show was only able to receive 26 episodes in total due to low viewership ratings. Admittedly, 26 episodes?
Yeah.
Not a bad length of time. Honestly, more ideal than others, but you can tell from like both like what audiences wanted, at least like what little audiences there were that was able to like watch it, as well as what the creators wanted to do, is like there clearly was room for more.
Yeah.
It would have been great to, get like a third season, maybe even up to fourth, because of just how easy it is to come up with all kinds of like new plots and shenanigans for Coop and the other characters to get up to. But no, it didn't really work out that way. Not getting the popularity that you thought it would have based on the initial reception to that lowbrow pilot.
Which is a shame. Like, yeah, 26 episodes is not too bad, but man, if we got more, if only the show was a lot more popular, I guess.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, that hasn't stopped like fans from still being very vocal and passionate about Megas XLR, like all like years and years after the fact. In fact, in the 2010s, in the last decade of the before times, as I like to call it, there was a movement on social media that was all about like, demanding to bring Megas XLR back, like doing it to get the attention of the show's creators and the network to possibly like get like a new like a third season made. The creators certainly cared about it, like they got the message and were like, all right, we'll pass this on. But unfortunately, the network did not care.
The whole thing was just a tax write-off, would you believe it?
Yeah, at least, that was more or less like what George Christic had like said in an interview from like 2014 or something like that. It's kind of like an unfortunate situation, especially because it's like I have always seen like news blips come up every now and then, like, since that interview, about just kind of the status of where like Megas XLR as an IP is currently, and like, like some of the last things I had ever heard about was that, oh yeah, it managed to find its way fully into the hands of Warner Brothers. And then I think technically even after that was revealed, no, actually it's in the hands of AT&T.
Right.
So it's like, it's frustrating because it's like, you know that someone else, now that like the IP has been changing hands, someone could just bring this back if they wanted to. It would not have to be on Cartoon Network's hands, really, but no one cares to. It's just always frustrating, especially when it ends up to like in the hands of a company that is not even in this specific fucking business or industry.
Yeah.
Like, it's that same frustration of like the kind of limbo that the System Shock IP was in, where it ended up in like the hands of an insurance company, where everyone is like, why the fuck are you holding on to this? You don't even make games.
Yeah, this sounds like a case of just, it's a mess. It's a rights mess, and nobody cares enough to give it the release it deserves, I guess.
Like, I guess a bit more complex and like not as like done and settled the same way that Symbiotic status as a tax write-off. It feels very definitive, you know? Because it never really, no one's really bothered to, then again, no one's really bothered to check like in the intervening years if those rights ever did get sold off, or if it has been so buried that no one knows who owns it. At least George Christic, at least everyone knows where Megas has ended up. They've tried every now and then to like work something out. But it hasn't yet. Maybe someday, but who knows? We're fine with the 26 episodes we've got for the time being. It at least makes for a nice like time capsule for a certain era, I'm going to say.
It is a very early 2000s show. Oh man.
Fortunately not a problematic early 2000s show.
No,
it is not that. But you're like, oh god, this is what we did to like make us numb to the effects of living in a post 9/11 America.
Yeah, nobody's going to say slurs, but it's a time capsule in a good way.
Yes. Absolutely. In a good way. That's the important qualifier. That's the history for Megas XLR.
Yeah.
What led up to the creation and the messiness of, you know, just where the rights went and trying to get anything new done with it. But kind of the gist of it. Now we can get into some of the more fun stuff. Like, we could talk about the actual Megas XLR itself.
Oh, please describe the robot itself.
Okay, so really to describe it, you first have to describe its original prototype, the Megas, which was a robot originating from the 31st century before it got sent back in time. However, the Megas XLR, as we come to know it, is Coop's modification, where it takes what is, a very boxy, kind of Japanese-inspired looking blue, like, bipedal robot. So Coop's idea is to give it a hot rod paint job, a bunch of, like, fucked up modifications, and replace the head, basically remove the head so that his muscle car can be used as the cockpit. Yes. The head of the robot is a car.
And would you believe the way they move it around is a steering wheel?
Yeah, they use a steering wheel, clutch, pedals, and as a running gag throughout the show, any new like dashboard like cockpit controls that just get added on, sometimes willing themselves into reality based on the situation, I'm going to say.
There is a running joke where there will just be a button that just says a thing that will just solve the problem of the episode in the most ridiculous way.
Oh yeah, and if you're curious, as far as like the name Megas, it's technically an acronym. It stands for Mechanized Earth Guard Attack System.
Yeah.
But obviously it's like, it's got XLR at the end. The whole point is that it's an extra large robot.
Yeah.
Like, this robot's fucking amazing. It is super as all hell because like no rhyme or reason to what it is going to do. It is just going to pull out all manner of, like, melee and wrestling moves and, like, sometimes weapons pulled straight out of other anime, like the wave motion cannon from Space Battleship Yamato.
Yeah.
That happens in the first episode.
That just happens.
Like, 10-year-old kids in the mid-2000s are never going to pick up on what the fuck that is. They're just going to know, wow, that's a big-ass gun. It's only us when we're, like, watching it like 10, 15, 20 years after the fact, for, like, again, for a rewatch, and we're like, oh, you motherfuckers, that is just that.
Oh, yeah, you just took a thing that nobody's going to get, but you added in anyways. Okay, I see you. I see you.
Yep. Oh, it's big, it's strong, and in the hands of, like, its main pilot, it is always going to do way more damage and, like, cause more problems before it actually solves them.
It's amazing there's even a city around every episode with the amount of destruction that happens.
Jersey City just manages to, like, survive against all odds.
Mm-hmm.
That's the major robot. There's obviously other robots that show up every now and then, but they're always, like, one-off episodic type of things. You know, like, they're not as important as seeing what Megas is going to do when he interacts with those other robots.
Yeah.
And just absolutely pulverize them. But we do at least have more in the way of characters that we see very often.
Yeah, let's go down the character list then.
All right. So first off, we have Coop Kuplowski, our pilot for Megas XLR, a fat slacker who is like considering all of his laziness and the fact that he is living in his mama's basement, even still, pretty good mechanical skills, because he's clearly worked on all kinds of his own modifications for, like, his muscle car, as well as extending that to all the modifications he's done for Megas itself. Like, he's big, blonde spiky hair, little chin goatee. Like, again, like, you can tell this is an early to mid 2000s show. Like, character designs are very on point for, like, the kind of aggro, like, they're trying to border on, I guess, like, macho, like, kind of, and cool character traits, even though it is being associated with, like, such a fat slob of a character.
Yeah, and it's also very 2000s humor to make the fat guy like, the jokes around the fat guy being, oh, he's hungry. But at least, like, Coop has more going on with him.
Even though they delve into, like, his appetite and capacity for overeating in way greater detail than I think modern audiences are like, willing to handle.
Oh, they go into it so hard.
Like, we have seen Shonen Jump anime protagonists be big eaters.
Yeah.
Coop would like, strike terror in the likes of Goku and Naruto.
Yeah, he would out-eat Goku. Just think about it for a minute.
Oh god, now I'm just imagining a scenario where it is like Goku's now suddenly, like, seeing that and gets excited while King Kai telepathically has to tell him, no, Goku, under no circumstances, don't out-eat Coop. He's a monster.
Oh god, warning him against the dangers of Coop. It's too much for you, Goku. Don't do it. I know he's strong, but you gotta resist.
He needs to develop a Super Saiyan stomach in order to handle this.
Not even Super Saiyan God. Super Saiyan can handle his appetites.
But eventually he overstuffs himself too much that, like, reflexively he develops an Ultra Instinct digestive system.
Ultra Instinct digestive system. God.
This is the dumbest thing that we have ever swerved into on this podcast.
Listen, it fits for this show. This is appropriate for the topic at hand.
But yes, Coop is a fucking wild beast of a man, really. It's a good thing he knows how to pilot Megas, even though some of the times it looks like he loses control because he forgets what some of the buttons do, and, like we said, causes more problems before actually solving them.
Oh, yeah.
But that's why he has friends on board to kind of, like, keep an eye on him, and, like, at least one of them tries to, like, keep him on the steady.
Mm-hmm.
Not Jamie. He's just there to be like a shit talker and just revel in the fact that, yeah, my best friend made a giant robot and I get to ride shotgun in it. It's sick.
Jamie's kind of
loop. Jamie is another slacker, probably more emblematic of, like, the type of slacker that you would imagine one to be in the 2000s. Least of all because he's very thin as a rail, very snarky. Does even less than Coop does. Like for Coop's for all of Coop's flaws, like we said, he knows his way around doing mechanical works and all that stuff. Jamie just does nothing. He just like lazes around and dreams about being able to pick up like women, the like alien chicks, basically.
Jamie is just the biggest loser. Also, he happens to be voiced by Steve Bloom.
Yep, it's him doing a vocal delivery that's like, in some episodes I'm like, man, I don't think I've ever seen someone give voice direction to Steve Bloom to be like, okay, now scream like you're scared for your life.
Yeah. We know you've been Spike Spiegel, the coolest motherfucker around, but how do you feel about just voicing a giant loser?
Yeah. That said, though, his quips are pretty good as far as like just jabs at like Coop's expense or anyone's expense, really, as Megas is doing its thing, fighting whatever like the monster or giant robot of the week is supposed to be. And somehow, despite all this, is best friends with Coop.
Yeah.
It's the kind of friendship where from the outside looking in, you really are like, how are these friends?
How are you friends?
I guess.
You're friends, I guess.
Meanwhile, the other main character that we have that is what I described as like doing what she can to keep Coop kind of steady throughout this whole thing is Kiva Andrew. The chick from the future that was originally supposed to be Megas' pilot before not only Coop modified it to his own specifications, but also completely junked the time warp drive that was necessary for it to like go back and forth through time. So whoops, she's stuck in the past with these primitives.
She's the straight lady of the group, where she just has to deal with their bullshit most of the time.
Yeah. And slowly acclimate to it as well, because it's like, what else is she gonna do?
Yeah.
She has nowhere else to go. Might as well hang out in Coop's basement and watch like cheesy monster movies over the weekend. That happens.
That does happen. Surprisingly enough, she does get character development, but I don't know if it's character development or character de-development.
Again, there's a certain mellowing out.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because she is like, first few episodes, she is making it very clear how she just wants out of this timeline right the fuck now.
Yeah, she's...
But after a certain point, she's just inside. She's like, I give up.
I'm fine. Whatever. I'm just gonna do it. Whatever you guys are doing now.
She's also voiced by Wendy Lee. Could you believe that we have like 2 voice actors from the English dub for Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah, it feels very intentional that they just go with voice actors who were in a lot of anime dubs at the time.
Yeah. I mean, those 2 specifically, I think it was specifically mentioned by the show's creators. That was intentional, specifically as part of a casting gag where it's like, okay, so you've got Spike and you've got Faye. So that means obviously your main character, this Coop, he's got to be voiced by Jed, right? Nah, man, he's voiced by this other guy, David DeLewis. What? Yeah, and he's a real fat slob as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, it would have been kind of funny if he was voiced by Jet. Then we'd have a fucking like the reverse Cowboy Bebop.
Yes. Oh man. But even so, I do think that like Coop's voice actor, like he does nail the parts like so well.
Yeah.
You know, he's got like that right level of like cheerful loudness to him.
Yeah.
You know? And similarly, you know, like Steve Bloom, like fantastic as Jamie, just like portraying like this sniveling little like slacker, this fucking loser. And Wendy Lee's like pretty solid as well as Kiva. Like the 3 of them, like this is our trio.
Yeah.
Like these 2 misfits and a potential third as time goes on.
Yeah.
Though she still remains the most responsible, and she is the most equipped to fight anyone on foot if there is like a foe that is not giant robot sized. Even though there's those 3, there is technically a 4th character that is semi-common. You know, he's not in every episode does he have a prominent role, but this is the character I was talking about that was like. Does actually something of a carryover from George Christick's like previous show Downtown, and that is Goat. It's just Goat, who's depending on which version of the credits you go with. Like in season 1, he's voiced by Scott Rienecker, who's Goat's original voice actor from Downtown, or you just go with the gag that season 2 started with, where they just said, "Nah, Goat is just voiced by himself."
That's a funny gag.
Like, looking this up, design-wise, it's like, yeah, this is Goats to a T. The only thing that you could really say is different is that, like, he often is seen with, like, a lollipop in his mouth because, surprise, surprise, in Downtown, he always had a cigarette. So we're gonna take the 4Kids, like, One Piece dub approach to this shit.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, no, he just has a piece of candy.
Maybe this was like an adult. Oh, God. Could you imagine if this was an Adult Swim show instead of Cartoon Network show?
Season 3 on Adult Swim, Goat comes back and he is somehow voiced by someone different because Scott Reenecker passed away, and now he's also got a cigarette. It sounds like he has lung cancer.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the only change. Everything else is the same. He just has a cigarette now.
Yeah. Oh God, could you imagine if it really did come back? Everything else is exactly the same, right down to like the robots and the fights being 2D animation.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be like the perfect thing.
That would be a comeback. But no, Goats is Goat's funny when he's on screen because he's even more of like a not quite disruptive in the way that Coop obviously is with Megas, but you can feel that like when he shows up, he is clearly like shifting the character dynamics of our main trio in a way where it's like it definitely feels like you're trying to steal like the spotlight from some of these other characters at the time, be it Jamie or Coop or I don't know. At least of all because he's arguably like more of a flirt with other chicks than Jamie is.
Yeah.
Arguably more successful in some cases.
A lot more successful than Jamie.
There's an entire episode where his method of picking up girls is to offer them a churro. And in the credits for that episode, it shows that no, he actually succeeded.
Yeah, somehow.
The girl dug his churro. It's clearly not a euphemism for anything.
No, just don't think about it. Don't worry about it.
Don't think about it. Yeah, they're great. Like those are like our 4 consistent like main characters. Like at least on the hero side. Bad guys. You know, this show being very episodic likes to cycle through them a lot. But there's at least one common antagonist you can point to that shows up the most amount of times, and that is Gorath, the war master that leads the Glorf fleet that is specifically initially trying to reclaim the Megas prototype that was that they initially created, but was stolen by the humans in the 31st century and modified for their use. But now, after seeing it turned into the Megas XLR and dealing with Coop's bullshit, he is like, nope, we're just gonna destroy this thing.
Yeah, they're technically the antagonist, but the show also has a lot of villains and characters, so they're the closest thing to like an ongoing threat, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Because they have their entire armies. They've got their battleship, which looks suspiciously like the SDF-1 Macross. Yeah. In another show of great voice actors coming on for this show, because there's a lot of them. Gorath, voiced by Clancy Brown.
Always a treat just hearing his voice whenever he gets to be a villain or something like that.
Yeah, real scenery chewing. It's great to see like the voice actor for Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob just getting to like be really fucking irate having to deal with like this blue hot rodded paint job of a robot. And that's not counting any of the other villains that show up that have other like surprising celebrity voice actor cast. I mean, there's a fucking like MODOK looking motherfucker voiced by Bruce Campbell. That is not a joke. That's real.
His name is Magnanimous, and he is literally just MODOK who just his voice, it's Bruce Campbell. It's like, how did you get that? How did you get that for your show?
His face even looks like a cartoon Bruce Campbell. Yeah. It's so good. Oh, yeah. And that's not, even as far as other like celebrity or like semi-popular voice actors, we get a lot more that we can get into when we move into our spoiler discussion. Yeah. But before that can even happen, obviously the next thing we need to discuss, why do we recommend Megas XLR?
Why do we?
Yeah. Well, there's an appeal to this show that I think is very strong. The appeal is the simple joy that us mecha enjoyers like, which is watching robots blow shit up and beat the shit out of each other. Who cares about the consequences? Mm-hmm. This is Wow Cool Robots, the show.
It is literally just Wow Cool Robots. You just turn your brain off and just watch the shit explode and all the funny stuff happen.
Yeah, although don't turn your brain off too much that you don't catch, like, all the myriad of pop culture references and, like, fucking clever, like, comedy writing that seeps its way in.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, just whenever it gets to the robot fights, just real loud, hyperkinetic, like, explosive fights happening all over the place. Mm-hmm. Like, you will see so many goddamn elbow drops throughout this entire show.
You can tell the other thing that the writers love, aside from, well, mechs, is wrestling.
Yeah, pro wrestling fits in so well with, like, all the other, like, goofy ass, like, subcultures that were, like, that felt like that they had, like, their limelight in the broader pop culture landscape during the 2000s.
Yeah.
Because really, this is kind of like what brings it all together ultimately, kind of summing up what we were describing when talking about, like, the prehistory, is that, you know, like, this is a comedy first and foremost, and this was made and produced by Cartoon Network, but because of the creator's previous work on Downtown, it is like, this feels the most like, I say this affectionately, it feels the most like a misplaced cartoon that aired on the wrong network. This feels like an MTV production, even with all the jabs at MTV's expense.
Everything about this show feels more like an MTV, a more toned down MTV cartoon is how I put it. You're not going to get what you'd usually expect from one of those shows.
It's got that kind of early 2000s edge to it that's, like, of the era, and not pushed too hard that it becomes, like, problematic or unwatchable after a certain point. You know, like even some of the more gross aspects, like, I say gross, are more in the way of, like, oh, what sort of horrible concoction is Coop stuffing his face with? Like, that kind of thing.
It's that kind of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm. And it also helps as well, considering the era that it's in, is that this is the giant robot parody that beats out all other types of, like, parodies of any kind, really. Like compared to all of its contemporaries, like, despite the way that it looks and conducts itself, how just, like, gleeful it is about having its cool giant robot beat the shit out of everything. It not once is it, like, disrespectful of whatever sort of, like, pop culture reference it is portraying. You know, like, even when it comes off as, like, mocking, it feels like the sort of, like, playful ribbing that you get between close friends who realize that, like we know each other well enough that I could just say some mad shit to you and it's not going to, like, leave you offended.
Yeah, I don't think any show that has a mech that's based on the Sazabi is going to go in not loving the thing it's mocking.
Yeah, it also helps as well, considering that a lot of what it, like, that it takes jabs at playfully are, like, a lot of Japanese pop culture stuff, is that if you look at some of, like, the designs or the visual effects that they emulate, and or even, like, some of the gags they associated with it, it's like, if you can imagine like a Japanese anime also doing that, like a Japanese studio thinking, oh yeah, let's just have, like, a joke about, like, a magical girl transformation sequence that goes 3 minutes longer than it's supposed to. Like, if they would do that, then it's kosher. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Like, I feel it makes this show kind of like an anomaly around the era, because I cannot think of many other, like, cartoons at the time. Like, whenever they mock or make fun of anime, it's always very surface level. It comes from, like, out of touch people who have barely any reference to what Japanese media is, other than, I don't know, Pokemon or Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, there's sometimes a bit of a mean-spirited nature to it. Yeah, at least of all because, I mean, America's, like, views of, like, other places around the world that aren't America itself is always kind of fucked no matter the era. Mm-hmm. But obviously we're talking about, like, early mid-2000s. This is already after we kind of went off the deep end thinking we needed to, like, wage an entire war on terror.
Yep.
But at least Megas XLR was able to keep its head on its shoulders. You know, like the metaphorical muscle car on its robot body. Like, it's showing love for all of this shit that we love in its own unique, chaotic way.
Yeah, it's very loving.
But alas, we all know the other question you have, which is where to watch Megas XLR. Much like last week's episode, we know that this show is a victim of the original network refusing to distribute it again just to avoid paying taxes on it. Like, the IP has been passed off to different companies over the years, and can't really expect anything new to be done with it. But due to I guess when it was made, this being a product of the mid 2000s, it might not have gotten a Blu-ray. But at least compared to Symbionic Titan, it did get DVDs back in the day. Yeah. So that's at least something for the physical owners that want to shell out the money for it.
Yeah.
And because, those type of copies exist, that means any digital copies of the episodes that you want to find online are probably ripped straight from those. So you don't have to worry about the awkwardness of any quality issues that might have come from someone recording it when it was airing on TV for the first time.
Yeah.
Interestingly, though, while the more common popular locations for getting digital video content through streaming doesn't really have these, years and years ago, before all this tax write-off shit even happened, Megas XLR did show up on the iTunes store of all places. Back in the day, you could buy the episode. I think it was a case where you could buy the entire series or the episodes piecemeal and kind of and watch that stuff through there.
Wild.
And I haven't checked in a while. Those might still be up there technically. I'm not sure, but it's understandable that this would be another show where all these other hoops are probably stuff that you do not want to jump through. So just sail the high seas. Just do that.
You can just find the entire show on YouTube. Just look up Mega XLR, and you can find all the episodes there.
Yeah, if Cartoon Network is not gonna want any money for this anymore, then there's no obligation to pay anyone else.
Yeah, you're free to find it however you want. If they're not gonna archive it, then we're gonna do it instead.
All right. So that's everything you need to know about Megas XLR.
Yeah.
Now we got to go on to the spoiler section. We got some highlight episodes to discuss.
Sure do.
If you're interested in what we have talked about with Megas XLR, go ahead and just watch the show right now.
Yeah,
just stop this episode and go do it. Otherwise, stick around for the other side, and we'll talk about some episodes that demonstrate. Man, these showrunners have some deep fucking cuts.
Yeah, you will. If you listen to what we have to say, then you'll find out how much of a real ones these people, the people who made the show, are.
All right, we'll see you there.
We'll see you then.
Alrighty then.
All right. So let's get to our episode.
It's funny with these episodes. I guess as a little bit of trivia for everyone that might be listening to this episode is that we were in the early days of this podcast. We actually talked about Megas XLR as a pilot episode, as a way to test whether our format was going to work or what needed to be improved. And we had different episodes back then that we could have talked about again, but for our sakes, I think we like to keep things variety filled.
Yeah.
And also, that episode is so old anyway that it's we're just not gonna let anyone listen to it. It's too embarrassing.
Yeah, we've grown since then. And also, the best part about the show, the show being episodic is we can just talk about whatever episode we want. There's no continuity.
So we get to talk about episode 9, Bad Guy. It makes you wonder who this is referring to.
Yeah, it's a mystery.
It is and it isn't.
Yeah.
The episode in question starts by introducing a color-coordinated team of do-gooders tasked by not Zordon to head to Earth and deal with a horrible evil, possibly worse than their own arch-nemesis that is terrorizing the planet. Unfortunately, that means they're dealing with Coop.
It's Coop.
Yeah, he's the bad guy. And this is one of the episodes as far as like what we were saying minutes ago, proof that the showrunners are real ones. Because, all right, this is a lot to take in, but I'll try and keep it as concise as possible.
Right.
Because we described as much, a color-coordinated team of do-gooders. Like, passerbys might look at this shit and go, oh, Power Rangers, but it goes so much deeper than that.
Oh, there's layers to this.
Yes. So it starts with their outfits because, like, for people that know their history as far as classic anime, these do-gooders in question are a parody of Science Ninja Team Gatchaman. Like the classic Tatsunoko production from the 70s. However, because the creators of the show are American, it's not specifically a parody of Gatchaman. It is a parody of the ancient-as-forgotten localization of Gatchaman called Battle of the Planets. And to kind of like cinch the deal on that, one of the members, like the short purple member called Jax, you listen to him and like he's speaking in clicks and like weird like verbalizations with his mouth. Like he's speaking a language that no one else like in the audience can understand except except this team, the S-Force as they're called.
Yeah.
And that is because Jax is also like his character is based on from how he was in the dub for Gatchaman for Battle of the Planets. Except there was a second dub called G-Force Guardians of Space, which had the character named Jax. Combine that with two voice actors in this crew also having been voice actors on Battle of the Planets, Ronnie Shell and Alan Young, followed by the team leader Argo being voiced by Scott Inez, who is doing an impersonation of like Casey Kasem, I think if I'm pronouncing his name right, who also did voice work on Battle of the Planets. Like, it all fucking runs deep on this shit.
They didn't need to go.
Like, this is the most American like coded parody of Gatchaman, pulling from like the nerdiest fucking knowledge about like its dub history.
They didn't need to go this far for this joke that only a handful of people will understand. There is so many layers to this, and that just shows like as stupid as the show is, there are thoughts. They actually thought through these jokes and these references. They were like, oh, but what if we have this and this along with it?
Yeah, like this manages to be like one of the like very few legitimately good reasons to look at TV Tropes pages, because they'll usually have a trivia section or shout out section that actually puts this shit down in detail, and that is why I am able to like, convey this information to you all at home. Yeah, and even then, as you'll find as the episode goes on, a lot of what the S-Force has does not simply end at just being a Battle of the Planets parody. I mean, you see not Zordon speaking to them at the beginning, who's known as Targon, and is voiced by Megatron, by the way. He's fucking like Frank Welker. Frank Welker.
Yes.
I can't believe I mispronounced that. Yeah. Megatron, Fred from Scooby-Doo, fucking cartoon voice acting heavy hitter,
A legend. He is an absolute legend in the voice acting space.
We were only able to cover like so many characters like in the primary character section, but we are not kidding when it's like there are so many like recognizable voice actors that have like minor roles in this fucking dumb comedy about slackers in New Jersey piloting a giant robot.
They really went all out with the voice actors in this show.
It's great. Yeah. I would not have it any other way. So until the S-Force arrives on Earth, we get to see the next display of Coop's terror on Earth, winning a hot dog eating contest.
Which is the most 2000s era thing they could do. This is like a thing I could see like on early MTV.
I don't think these events, like, I don't even know like how common it is for hot dog eating contests, if they're around anymore, if Zoomers would even know about it. Again, like, it is, like you said, it's one of those things that show this is a product of the early 2000s, and it makes us feel so old. Least of all because we can immediately recognize the Kobayashi parody that's participating.
Oh, yeah, nobody's gonna get the Kobayashi parody especially anymore.
You just watch this, and like, when you're a kid, you're initially on Jamie's side, where it is like, it's gross, awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
But now, as we've gotten older, we side with Kiva, and we're like, This is the most horrific thing we've seen in any timeline.
And the grossest thing are all the sound effects they use for this part. Like, holy shit.
Oh, the sound effects, the gross out techniques that Coop uses in order to get a lead. This is probably like the most like detail we ever get about it, like Coop's eating habits and like how his body handles food. I especially like how Jamie is like so confident the whole time while Kiva is horrified that like, this is terrible. Coop's gonna get like so sick from all this food he won't be able to pilot Megas. But Jamie's like, nah, Coop doesn't get sick. He just gets less hungry.
Yeah.
And that's why he is Lord of the Large Pants. What a fitting title for this fat ass with like a black hole for a stomach. He gets a crown and cape and everything.
Yeah.
And he's still ready for second lunch. That's the worst part.
It's like, I'm still hungry. It's like, bro.
You're going to put the entire East Coast into a famine because of your fat ass.
You just can't stop eating.
Yeah, maybe it's a good thing that the S-Force came here to stop him, because like, it's not going to be the destruction that ends the world. It's going to be a food shortage. Mm-hmm. So they arrive, triumphant music and hero poses included.
Yeah. And
of course, Jamie only notices the chick out of all of them, the chick that is voiced by Jennifer Hale.
Yeah, he is. He is a one-track mind. Like, if Coop is food, him is picking up chicks.
And just all the poses as well. They're like we said, this show would not go out of the way to parody the stuff the way that it does if it wasn't willing to like go like the full mile on accurately getting like the vibe and like poses just down absolutely perfect. But at least this is where we transition into like like just the non-robot fights, showing that yeah, Kiva's the one who gets all the cool action shots. Coop somehow accidentally wins a fight against Mac and Jax by like beating him over the heads with like a singing mechanical fish. Jamie obviously does not fight. Instead, he's hopelessly flirting again with Duchess, trying to be like, hey, so what are you doing tonight? And that clearly doesn't work.
Yeah, also, like, another thing about, like, this show being a loving parody of anime is especially when you notice how it uses action lines, where it's like, oh, you actually understand why action lines are used in anime, and you're using it for your show as well in a non-mocking manner. Like, you actually understand it.
Yeah, it's impressive how they actually managed to get a lot of those principles right, while leaning in with an art style that for a lot of the characters, most often Kiva, I feel like, often feel like they came out of like those shitty how to draw manga books that were clearly made by American artists.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But that's again, that's part of the charm. Is like, you're willing to get away with that kind of jank because they do everything else like in a way that shows they've done their homework.
Yeah.
So obviously, like I said at the beginning, the Battle of the Planets parody doesn't just end with all the casting choices or even the poses.
No,
I mean, obviously there's a bit of a Super Sentai blood in there, but we also got to get some Voltron in this shit.
Of course. We got to add another layer to the parody we got going on.
Yeah, so we get a bunch of like animal robots summoned in, Zorps as they're called, which is definitely one of those things where it's like, okay, they decided to go with something that sounds absolutely stupid for the purposes of being made fun of. But again, they use their action lines properly. They have legit key animation for the robots when they're being summoned that looks like it could obviously have been reused if this was a show focused entirely around the S-Force. However, one of the few rules that is observed in Megas XLR, a show that is otherwise about breaking rules, is this. If someone has a big key animation sequence, time does not stop for the rest of the cast.
Yeah. It still keeps...
Coop just fucking, like, knocks them over, like, as they are all lining up in formation. What a bad guy.
I mean, fair. If time doesn't stop, why do you have to stop? You don't have to respect that.
Yeah, but they do combine eventually. They do form a big Voltron-like robot. We get our first major robot fight of the episode, and I've got to give props to Coop, not only for continuing the running gag of just taking the piss out of MTV with all the Pop TV destruction, but taking a giant, like, building-sized guitar prop from the Pop TV store to use as a weapon for all of 5 seconds. Power of rock indeed.
Yeah, so another jab at MTV.
some of the other gags with them that I do love are ones where it is like, I'm forgetting like what the context for it was, but I think it was a case of like channel switching, where it was like when it does switch to the Pop TV channel, it's like everyone is bummed the fuck out before eventually switching back to what they actually want, and then they go, yeah! Anything but that shit.
Oh, it reminds me of just how much the Simpsons would just make fun of Fox as well. It's got that same energy.
Yeah. Nothing like biting the hand that feeds you.
Yeah.
Although in this case, MTV isn't the one footing the bill for Megas, so it's even better.
It's better than just like making fun of your ex.
Too bad this is another X in the making.
Oh boy, yeah.
But the fight goes on, and finally, 12 minutes into the episode is when it finally hits Coop what this fight is all about. They think he's the bad guy, even though he insists he is not the bad guy, despite him accidentally doing shit that clearly makes him look like the bad guy. Even the S-Force's nemesis, Ender, is impressed by this. Oh yeah, Ender, he's here now.
Yeah, he's just here and just going, oh, I see you're evil too. Oh, you're so evil.
Okay, I need to get this off my chest. Yeah. Why is everything that Ender say so goddamn sexually charged?
It's the line delivery. It's everything about the line delivery. It's him going, oh.
It's like I swear, you can hear him like feeling himself whenever he sees someone being bad.
Oh, if I had a dick, it would be so erect right now.
Yeah. Like that entire voice delivery is like, it is so good and so silly, but also I'm just like, geez, some of the line reads, it's like you could really just extract these and like put them into a porn parody or something.
Yeah.
It would fit.
It still would.
But yeah, Ender showing up of all things is adding to the misunderstanding on the S-Force's part, making it seem like, oh, so you two are in league with each other. Well, Coop is just desperately trying to like not to have to deal with this shit. Unfortunately, Ender is just too strong for him right now. Like, it kind of doesn't matter, no matter how much Coop tries to prove he's a good guy, that he would go as far as to destroy the city if it means crushing this bad guy. Even though that's still kind of bad, but whatever, that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Like, Ender is too tough right now. There's only one way to fix this. Yeah, so, turns out, as far as what Megas is capable of doing as a super robot, it's technically a combiner.
Hey, if it works, it works. And it does work.
Yes, so he combines the powers of the S-Force's Zorps with Megas, just crudely shoving the robots onto his limbs in the fact that it's ass first on all of them, except I think Argo's, because it's the bird that gets attached as the wings. Yeah. It's like I know I already talked about how much like Ender sounds like he's getting turned on every time he sees someone being evil, but like just ass first, getting your robot shoved onto like getting fisted. I'm just gonna say it right now. He is fisting two of these robots so that they become his arms. These S-Force members are going to need like some fucking like therapy like sessions after this. This is horrible.
Especially when you see them getting all crunched up in their robots and just crying the entire time, going, why?
So now we have Megas combined with the Zorps. Initially falls over because he forgot to compensate for the extra weight, which, that's a good gag.
Yeah, it's really good.
And then is finally able to kind of get closer to Ender's level as far as, like, strength, but it's still not enough, as you can see. So, like, oh yeah, again, I'm trying to keep myself focused, but like my brain is still fighting against me to be like, no, keep thinking about like the Zorps getting fisted, and I'm just like, oh, brain, stop, please. But we do at least get like another one of Coop's speeches, which is like a typical running gag throughout all the episodes, where it's like he's calling out the villain because he's had enough, being like, you did X, you did Y, and then you did Z, which is like something completely unrelated or inconsequential to X and Y, like making him miss his second lunch or something like that. It is what he says after, where he goes, he may not be the best guy, but he is not a bad guy. Technically true, I guess.
It's close enough, is how I'll say it. He's not actively evil.
But he's still Coop, which means he's still going to cause an even bigger problem before he ultimately solves it, which is he fires out an ultimate weapon that comes from the power of the Zorps, which unfortunately misses Ender and creates a matter-antimatter rift sucking in everything in sight, including Ender, and it gives us like the last moment of Ender just getting like aroused at how evil Coop is. He's like, I thought I was bad, as he is getting just pulled in and like disassembled into atoms. Oh, you fucking creep. Rest in piss.
It turns out they were setting up things with that the eating contest, I guess, kind of earlier with the black hole.
Yeah, because the way Coop solves it is that at least according to him, there is a trick to overeating. It's all about pacing, and you just gotta like do it in such. And how he solves it is that he just creates another matter-antimatter rift so that both rifts start eating each other. You know, and it cancels each other out. The day is saved, and everyone laughs in that kitschy '80s cartoon way.
You did it! You saved the world, kinda. Except everything's a wreck. Everything.
You know, like up to this point, I feel like if you got to this episode, like based on how we've talked about like this show, in that it is not like any of the kind of mean-spirited like quote parodies that you saw from like other media of the era, is that I feel like if you were completely uninitiated and you saw the S-Force for the first time, you would think it was an extremely mocking kind of like takedown of like Power Rangers or like just Japanese hero type stuff. But the fact that it manages to have like as many like deep pulls from, you know, like Battle of the Planets and Voltron and all this shit, that it makes sense to wrap it all up by having it end the same way any episode of those 70s or 80s cartoons would end.
Yeah.
Except in Megas XLR's case, that's not the end of this episode, because there's a little after that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Coop finally makes it back home, sets up his trophy from the hot dog eating contest, you know, gives his compliments to the S-Force and being like, you know, for a bunch of do-gooders, they were actually pretty good. So at least they won't be bothering us anymore. Plus, I gave them a few tidbits on how to be cool.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so he's not a bad guy, but he's a dangerous influence for sure. As Mac, I think it was like the blue-colored S-Force member, now starts getting into overeating and is just like gorging himself on hamburgers. The leader, Argo, is playing video games and getting super addicted to it. And Duchess, the girl of the group, gets way in on just like painting her Zorp with hot rod colors and just crashing into shit. Just Targon, our not Zordon, is looking at this all horrified, the same way a parent would be at their kids turning into delinquents.
Yeah, it's like
my children
all ruined. Oh, it's like he made things better, but he also made things worse, which is the Coop way.
But also, aside from Mac going on the path to obesity, I feel like this is one of those cases where it's like, we've seen this in like old Power Rangers, especially, or things like that, where it is like the evil versions or like the like bad, morally compromised versions of like the good characters that you knew are like, they are inexplicably like, they're always the cooler versions.
Yeah, they're always.
It's like you're trying to get the message across about like, this is what it's like to be a bad person, but your way of doing it like kind of sabotages itself, because it's like, bro, your good guys are such obnoxious fucking squares.
And it's like, oh god, the evil guys are so much cooler. Holy shit. I want to see more.
Yeah, they actually have a spine. Yeah. So that's bad guy. Yeah, the answer to who the bad guy was, technically not Coop for now.
For now. That's for the finale.
I mean, by the time we get to the series finale, there is a Coop that is definitely the bad guy.
I still can't believe they just gave him the Sazabi. Fucking holy.
They just modeled his army after Zeon. Coop would absolutely be the kind of person that just gets infatuated with Char if he watched Gundam.
Oh, this was like before like Gundam popped off in the West too. This is like
definitely before UC Gundam, I think Gundam became a lot more commonly understood outside Japan, because this was still post Wing, you know? Like Wing was definitely like the first association for any like Westerner when they thought of Gundam.
Yeah, but the guys making the show are like, nah, fuck it. Sazabi, though, we watched the UC
Yeah.
content before it aired in America or some shit.
Yeah, they were the original weebs.
Yeah.
And speaking of weebs, we're gonna get into a different kind of weebery with
God.
like this next
Oh,
episode.
we sure are.
Episode 14, Ultra Chicks. First episode of season 2, by the way. Which, it's funny, despite those season 1 and 2 distinction, you would not think much is different at all, you know? Characters are still ultimately the same. The opening is still the same, thankfully, across both seasons.
Yeah. It's the same opening, pretty much.
Yeah. Which, oh yeah, I guess, by the way, we forgot to mention that even during the non-spoiler section, another thing that makes Megas XLR so memorable, chicks dig giant robots.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Yeah. They're right.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
But our first episode of season 2 starts with Kiva and Coop doing maintenance on Megas to like get more power, get more juice out of it. Jamie obviously has no skills or interest in any of that, so he's just bored out of his mind reading The Complete Moron's Guide to How to Pick Up Space Chicks. And then he's, I guess, is about to get his wish as he suddenly runs into a group of knockoff Sailor Senshi that mistake him for Coop. So yeah, he just rolls with that.
Of course, Jamie would get into a situation like this. And the transfer just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those examples I was actually talking about where it is like, this is the sort of thing where, like, this is an acceptable kind of parody for an American-ass show to do because the Japanese would also have half a mind to do this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even as far as Sentai hero poses, we already have the Ginyu Force from fucking Dragon Ball Z. Those are the goofiest-ass poses ever.
Yeah.
But you know that they're coming from, like, a place of, like, nah, this is what a squad type of team does.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see like a parody anime like making fun of this specific thing as well by having a transformation go on for way too long.
Yeah, and most of it is all focused around the last of like the girls that show up, where she just keeps fucking spinning however many times that the rest of her teammates are like, girl, hurry the fuck up.
Hurry up, please. We have an episode to go through.
But trivia regarding these Ultra Cadets, for voice acting specifically. I mean, obviously there's the Sailor Moon reference. Like they look like, you know, like knockoff versions of the Sailor Senshi. Like the outfits are extremely similar, even sharing a lot of the same hairstyles. So with 4 of these characters, 2 of them are somehow voiced by Tara Strong. I have no idea how they managed to get away with that and like make it so that like she's just not using the exact same voice for both of them for Comet and Pulsar. But the remaining half, Galaxia, is voiced by Janice Kouei, who is for people that may not know, she is like kind of an important like voice actress as far as being like a specifically Asian American voice actress that has been like working like since the 90s. Like, I think, like, one of her early works was, like, being on Captain Planet before kind of having a break before, actually, I think, resurfacing and being a lot more prominent in the mid-2000s of all things. Like, she's the main character in My Life as a Teenage Robot. But where I know her specifically is that she is the English voice of Ayane in the Ninja Gaiden series. The, you know, like, the 3D Team Ninja developed Ninja Gaiden games.
Yeah.
Which is like impressive and kind of weird to me considering they kept her like the same voice for like those 3 games, and yet Ryu's English voice kept changing every fucking time.
So weird.
I have no idea why.
That's so bizarre. God, I know.
Especially when it's like you already had something good in Ninja Gaiden 2 by getting Josh Keaton. He was perfect, but then you had to fuck it all up by replacing him with Troy Baker.
That's so I can't imagine Troy Baker even fitting as like that voice is for that character.
Oh, he didn't. No. You know what also didn't fit for that game?
What?
Everything, because it was a piece of dog shit. Moving on. But the last voice actress in this lineup is for Nova, the final member who was just spinning way too long in her transformation sequence and holding everyone up, is voiced by Apollo Smile, who's a name that you probably know even less about than Janice Kouei, funny enough. But probably her most prominent voice role that she's ever done is being the English voice of Ulala in Space Channel 5.
I would never have known that if you hadn't put that out there.
Like, it blew me away when I was going through the credits for this episode and saw her name there. That was like, fuck, that did sound familiar, and it makes sense because I mean, like, because as far as like the English dub for Space Channel 5, like she's like on point as Ooh La La. And like the thing about Apollo Smile, like during like her heyday when she was actually doing voices, is that like Apollo Smile is not her given name. Like, she had a different birth name. Yeah. She legally changed it to Apollo Smile in the 90s because she decided it would be good for, like, I guess her, for brand awareness of her by basically making it, like, she basically built herself before everyone else did, before everyone else had the bright idea to build themselves as the real-life anime girl.
I mean, Apollo Smile is a very anime-ass name, though. So I believe
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. So yes, you have these three voices that I recognize from video games because I also forgot to mention Tara Strong also voiced a character in Ninja Gaiden. Oh, yeah. So we're kind of like 3/4 of the Sailor Senshi group have been in the 3D Ninja Gaiden games, and also Ooh La La.
And Ooh La La. She's here too.
And now they need Jamie to come to their home planet to fight a terrible monster that's terrorizing their populace.
I'm sure that won't go badly for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie's initially excited because he first sees a robot that is like, oh yeah, I could pilot that, before it's like gets moved out of the way because apparently it's junk and reveals like a more rounded, like pink colored giant robot that has a bit more feminine traits, obviously. This is what you get for lying just because you wanted to pick us some space chicks.
Yeah.
Now you actually have to pilot a robot for the first time and fight something scary. Least of all because during the entire time that like Jamie is being led up to this moment is that the girls in a very teasing tone are constantly going on about how cute they think Jamie is, and like giggling behind his back, being like, while mistaking that he is Coop and being like, oh, don't worry, we're sure that you can handle this monster. It's like, because of those tones that they have and all the giggling, it's like I was initially thinking when I first watched this episode that this was a setup.
You know, it does kind of come off as one.
Yeah, like I was initially thinking that the whole concept was that they were just needing an excuse for like someone to like throw a person at this monster as like a sacrifice in order to placate it.
Yeah, but no, it's they're being sincere about everything they're saying, which is weirder. I feel.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. There's enough down bad Zoomers these days that probably would be fine with like having these four chicks like just like, you know, giving them attention and just like laughing like behind their backs because I don't know, some of them got a masochistic streak in them. Whatever.
Yeah,
but it's amusing all the while that that this is kind of like what we got at before about, despite Jamie being voiced by Steve Blum, he's not playing a Steve Blum character. Yeah. Like, I can't think of other works where he screams so much like this particular moment. Like, he's just yelling at the top of his lungs, panicking, that it's like, he's just trying to survive, but everyone inside the dome that is able to like kind of monitor like Jamie's robot and see what it's doing is that they think, oh, he's maneuvering around the Kurdok's attack and luring it away. He's so brave. And it's like, no, he's fucking pissing himself. This is the worst day of his life.
Yeah, he's just screaming, going, no, why me? The entire time. It's so.
So as this happens, we do go back to Earth briefly because repairs and maintenance on Megas are done, and Coop is like, all right, Jamie, where are you? We're ready to go eat. We're gonna get some crawfish. But Goat just conveniently wanders into the scene to tell them, oh yeah, Jamie just left with some space chicks.
They told Coops like, you could go eat without Jamie, but then no, he can't go without his buddy. His thin friend who's going to encourage him to eat his meal. He needs his friend.
Yeah, I can't leave without my buddy Super Jamie. More dated ass references for this podcast with Daikatana. Moving on. But yes, Coop needs his buddy to cheer him on as he overeats himself again. So they're going to go get him, least of all because they're worried about him somehow lucking into becoming an intergalactic tyrant. Goat doesn't care about that though. He just wants to go find those chicks again and get their digits.
Of course he did. Yeah, that's the only reason he's here. I think this might be one of the few times Goat actually joins them on an adventure.
Yeah, definitely. There are a couple other episodes where he is also like riding in the passenger seats, but it's not as common as you would think, or like,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I kind of would like if Goat was present a lot more often, like with Megas itself, just because I do love like all the fucking shit that he gets up to, and how that contrasts with like the usual dynamic that we're so used to. Yeah, you brought up the scene where where Coop was thinking about how how important it is that Jamie needs to be there with him as he eats his food. That they imagine what horrible things might happen if Jamie somehow lucked into being like a tyrant over like an entire planet or something. That it's like he just he gets an offering of a piece of fish, hits a button that says not good enough, and then blows up the planet.
Yeah.
He's basically predating Beerus's shenanigans in later Dragon Ball, when it's like, you gave him a food that is only 50% satisfactory. Yeah, whatever. He'll just blow up half the planet, and you can just have the other half.
Say goodbye to your planet, I guess.
So as they head over to find where Jamie is, following a quote weak signal, which doubles as a very good it's a good double meaning of being weak as in signal strength in terms of distance, but also weak. That sounds like Jamie. Let's go.
Yeah, they just knew. They just knew it'd be Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie, I guess this is the other reason why I enjoy having Goats present, is that it highlights that no matter how few or many people are included at the moment, Jamie's always on the bottom of the totem pole.
Oh, yeah, he is. He's just that far down.
But at least he gets to feel like he's on top of the world as his continuing nightmare reaches its climax, arriving at a volcano, dodges out of the way, and accidentally causes the Kurdok to fall into the magma, which leads to him immediately changing his tone from being scared out of his mind to being ha, take that, loser. Yeah, good job, you won, idiot. Yeah, he gets to ride high on his newfound hype, continuing to be fawned over by the Ultra Cadets, and regaling stories of his exploits that are really just Coop's, as evidenced by footage of Coop fighting with Megas, but Jamie's head is slapped on top of his face.
Such a funny gag. Also, a funny coincidence, they happen to be beating up Ender, who we talked about in our last episode.
Yeah.
It's like we planned this. We didn't plan. This is just a funny coincidence.
We didn't plan this. No. We picked this episode for a very different reason coming up. Because during this whole victory parade, Coop finally arrives, mistaking Jamie's robot for terrorizing the alien city, not even realizing Jamie's inside the robot, so they proceed to smash both the robot and beforehand smash through the dome that's protecting the city. The start of the misunderstanding is underway. The cadets see Coop. They see this fat slob and being oh, he's obviously evil. Yeah, good job, ladies. Body shaming. That's real positive in this. Oh, yeah. In any timeline.
Yeah, way to go, ladies.
But obviously that means that, the whole reason the misunderstanding had to happen is that this is the fight we all wanted. We wanted Megas versus the Ultra Chicks. But, I mean, how are these girls, that are human-sized, going to fight against the giant robot? Why do you think they're called Ultra? What happens is that this is obviously supposed to be an Ultraman reference, because they transformed into giant size and their eyes are even Ultraman shaped. But more importantly, we have magical girls that turned into giant robots. This is what we want.
How has no one done this before? How is this not a thing in anime? Or at least something done in an anime. The concept practically sells itself.
I feel like there would be other interpretations out there that people might have about what their ideal hybridization of mecha and maho shoujo would be. They probably would imagine it's something where it is they probably would still be thinking about it in some cases what if they piloted the robot and then and used their magic to enhance it? But it's no, this is better. What is one of the appealing things about magical girls? It's the transformation sequences. What is also an appealing thing about super robots? It's the key animation for when they combine or transform. Transformation. Both have transformations. Combine the two. Literally. Turn them into the robots.
Just have them turn to giant, magical girl robots that use things like their skirts as, throwing knives and like their
Yeah.
hair twin tails as machine guns.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it was technically a ponytail, but
Ponytail,
Galaxia
yeah.
absolutely uses her ponytail as that. Yeah, like, it's perfect. It's like, yeah, robots can be cute like girls, damn it.
Yeah.
Lean into it.
Lean into the whole thing. People like be into it. Goat is into it. All right.
Yeah, Goat is way into this shit. He's like, good, especially because it's like he's constantly changing his mind as far as like which one he wants to go on a date with. It was like, because initially it's like, I'm gonna go with you. I need to get those chicks' digits, especially that blue one. And then later it's like, oh no, dibs on the yellow one. And then it's like, I'll give you $5 if you tell them I'm your sidekick.
Yeah. It's like
Such a one-track fucking mind. Goat clearly doesn't mind that he is inside Megas as it's getting the shit beat out of him by these 4 girl robots. He is loving it.
Yeah, he's loving it.
And also continuing with all the different dashboard like button gags for Megas. Glad that you picked up on this because I almost missed it. Megas XLR comes equipped with the Mortal Kombat block button. Yeah, it's like I think it's even in the same position that it would be on an old MK cab.
Yeah, it's like right in the same position and everything. I was like, oh, someone played a lot of Mortal Kombat too.
Played a lot of Mortal Kombat. They played a lot of video games. I mean, when they have the fucking episode where Coop needs to like directly sync up his like body movements to Megas, that is translated with a DDR pad.
Yeah.
You also know what they were playing at the time.
They love referencing video games, wrestling, anime, and comic books. This is a show made by fucking nerds.
Real American nerds too, because it also includes monster trucks, hot dog eating contests, like muscle car shows, like all that kind of stuff. But the fight continues to escalate, least of all because Coop is blaming these girls for making him like miss his opportunity for more food, and like Jamie tries to be responsible in this moment by getting up to, you know, stop the fight best he can, clear up the misunderstanding, except when I say he, I mean his robot, which might as well be him, gets decked in the face and sent flying all the way to the volcano.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting worse and worse, but to the point where it is, like, it's kind of around here that I have to be like, Goat, I share your enthusiasm regarding these giant robot chicks, but there's more important shit to do right now. Fucking Jamie is about to die.
Yeah.
So they rush to the volcano. Megas pulls Jamie's robot out of there. The Ultra Cadets are still raring to go to take down Megas before Jamie finally feels that it's time for the jig to be up. He admits it. He's Jamie. He is not Coop. Coop is the fat one piloting Megas. This does not make the girls happy, and they are about to go over to Jamie and murder the shit out of him.
We're going to end this one.
But Coop, fortunately, does what any best friend would do. He stops them and tells them what the score is. Now, hold on. Jamie may be a lying creep, but he's still my best friend. And no one pummels him but me. Cut to pummeling the shit out of Jamie in his robot until nightfall.
It is the funniest gag of the episodes, where he just kind of pummels him.
It goes on.
They just repeat the same animation frames for like several seconds, and it's just so good.
And even when the girls tell them, leave this planet and don't come back, it's like Megas briefly pauses as Coop goes, I'll do that in a second, goes back to pummeling. And then they leave. But, you know, despite all the misunderstanding caused during this episode, at least the Ultra Cadets' original problem was solved either way. I mean, luck or otherwise, Jamie did beat the Curdog as long as he didn't toss it into the volcano.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, this planet's fucked.
And that's how we end the episode. Well, we don't end it right there, right away, but that's how it ends for them. It's like, oh, well, I guess shit's just going to go bad for them for a while.
The end. No moral.
No moral. Nothing is learned.
Yeah. Yeah, because now the crew's heading back. Jamie's trying to tell them about all the stuff he did. Coop being all like, look, it's not like I don't believe you. I just don't believe you. Like, reminding him, no matter what, that he is always gonna be a lazy piece of shit at the bottom of the food chain.
Yeah.
Least of all, because Code managed to do something Jamie never could have done. He got Galaxia's digits. He's the real hero of this episode, as the credits demonstrate, with a truly romantic sequence that I sure wish was me.
Yeah, he just goes out on a date with a giant robot magical girl lady. It's like, hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, pulls out a lawn chair, sets it on her shoulder. It's like this is basically the other part of like that magical girl mecha hybrid I would be down for. Like, if we were to ever get this off the ground in some way, is to not only have the magical girl be the robot, but also have cute romance scenes. Could be with a guy or a girl, either or. Like, it doesn't need to be specific, but something where it is like, yeah, just someone that is really into her as her magical girl robot form. That's like no size difference is gonna get between them.
Exactly. It's goals.
Yeah. Yeah, and that goal is they like their girls the way they like their giant robots. 4 meters tall at the minimum. Fucking funny ass episode.
It's a good episode. It is such a funny episode. There's a lot of episodes we could have picked from, and they all would have had like the same level of quality.
I especially like with Ultra Chicks how it is like, it's clearly meant to be the Jamie episode, you know, because I guess to just kind of pull the curtain back a little bit for people that are curious what episodes we talked about when we tried our pilot episode. One of the episodes we talked about was your episode that you brought forth, actually, was Space Booty, because it was what we agreed on as being the Kiva episode. Yeah. It's really good, least of all because of how much it gets what Kiva's character is about so well.
Yeah, it's also a Captain Harlock parody in early 2000s. It's like, holy shit, I can't believe you're making a parody of Captain Harlock.
And like Kiva, like the whole time is coming out on top. Yeah. Whereas you can tell with this being a Jamie episode is that like Jamie does not come out as a better person after it.
No, he doesn't.
That's the part of the humor. Yeah. But is also very true to who he is as a character. Yeah, I love it. It's like rewatching Megas XLR multiple times as time goes on is always such a treat.
It's always good. Just watching it is a good time. And you should watch it too.
Yeah. It always does, for brief moments, put me back into that state of being like, man, I'm so bummed out that we don't have more episodes of this. But by the same token, it is still fun going back through these episodes because, it'll take you several rewatches of every episode, I think, before you can finally claim that you have caught every single sight gag or reference that they are making at a time. Like, I'm still catching stuff that, that I never quite realized was there, the previous time or the first time.
It's a very rewatchable show, and you'll pick up on things, and especially the more you know about anime and mecha, you get a better appreciation of it too.
Oh, yeah, I guess one thing to finally close this out to show how much people love Megas XLR is that you might be wondering, with this being so American focused, do you think it's possible that people in Japan also appreciated what the show is going for? And I would say, absolutely yes, as evidenced by a survey by the Good Smile Company, makers of Moderoid, commonly the ones that you could look to make make model toys of all kinds of other anime robots that aren't Gundam, If Bandai isn't going to make any of these, then they're the ones that are going to pick up the pieces and give you robots that you probably didn't even think were going to get one. But in 2023, they had a survey that the results showed that, I guess, the 10th most requested mecha, there were clearly people on that stream that were surprised to see Megas XLR on there, and that they got a call in from a Japanese viewer that basically had to explain to them what Megas XLR was all about. And it is one of the most precious fucking things ever, because it is they're clearly not describing it the way we have, but they're trying to describe it in a way where it's okay, so the robot, it's like a boxy robot, but then the head is also a car. It's a real hot-blooded work is kind of what they describe it as. I'm gonna have to fucking, there's gonna be an addendum. I'm just going to like get what that caller said and then just put it there, because obviously if you're just listening to this in audio form, you're not gonna understand Japanese very well listening to it.
No,
but trust me when I say it. People in Japan, they know.
They know. There are some people who know.
So here's the transcript of a translation taken from the Good Smile Company stream in 2023 that showed the results of the most requested mecha to have a Motoroid made for it. This comes straight from a Japanese person politely explaining what Megas XLR is, way different than how we would describe it. This one here on the foreign ranking is called Megas XLR. What is it? It's an American cartoon robot anime. How can I put it? It's kind of a boxy and retro robot, but a car is docked on its head. And, likewise, it pays respect to Japanese robot anime, and has rather hot-blooded battles. So if you have the chance, definitely check it out. It seemed pretty entertaining. It also had a kids program feeling, but seeing it, you could tell it's a pretty hot-blooded work. There you go. Japan knows what Megas XLR is. And now back to the show. And it's even more of a shame that nothing is being done with it.
Yeah.
I would buy a Motoroid of Megas XLR.
I would just do it in a heartbeat. Please make it real. Please give us this one thing.
Also Symbiotic Titan.
And Symbiotic Titan.
Let's just get both of them.
Yeah.
That's it. And these two episodes, back to back, were obviously not a coincidence. This was basically our American Robot Power Hour.
Yeah.
Hours, I guess. These episodes clearly go on for more than an hour. but this was good, and I'm glad that we had this to mark our 30th episode.
Yeah,
we're a quarter of the way through, everyone.
Can you believe it?
I mean, 3/4 through. Yeah,
30 episodes. God damn, we've been doing this for a bit.
Yeah, that means the final chapters of this podcast are upon us. We're getting into our final 10 shows to talk about.
Yeah,
or like shows or. Well, not shows exclusively, like just general robot properties. We're going back to Japan exclusively for the rest of these.
Yeah.
Like this was basically just the part in our journey where we wanted to put a spotlight and show you that, there are some non-Japanese made robots that we adore because, like us, they just get it.
They get it, which is always nice to see.
That said, though, with the episodes that we have left to record, we're going to need to put a few weeks break on the upload schedule because due to real life priorities and events that both of us individually have kind of had to attend to at various points. Our backlog has shrunk dramatically since the podcast has started. Where we could keep going with the schedule as it currently is, but we don't feel particularly comfortable with it being that close to being empty at all times, because who knows when when another break could happen in recording. So look forward to November 12th when we will resume the podcast and enter our final 10 episodes, our 10 main episodes, and we will have completed everything on the list.
Yeah, then that's it. We've talked about all the mecha anime. I mean, not all the mecha, but you know what I mean.
There's more to talk about, but more importantly, there's obviously more for us to still watch on our own free time.
Yeah.
But thanks as always, Neff, for this episode. This was a blast.
Yeah, I love talking about this show again. It's always fun. And thank you for having me, as usual.
Definitely. Everyone at home, thanks for listening this far in. Tune in next time, a few weeks from now, when we talk about my favorite real robot anime of all time.
We'll let you figure that one out. See you, everyone.